Hello students, welcome back. Myself Raminder Kaur. We have started with the chapter number 8, Human Health and Disease. This is the second video lecture. In the very first part, we have talked about what is health, how can we keep ourselves healthy, and we have started with common human diseases, in which we have completed two. Number 1, typhoid, and number 2, pneumonia. Now we are going to start with the number 3 common disease that is very common among all, known as common cold. Causative organism is rhinovirus. These are the group of viruses which are very infectious. This common cold infects the body parts such as nose and respiratory passage, but there is no infection in lungs, because whenever pneumonia takes place, that is causing a lung infection, as we have already seen that alveoli, those air-filled sac, they are emerging with the infection of those bacteria. Symptoms are first nasal congestion and discharge. Congestion means there is a mucus that gets filled in our nose. That concentration can vary. Sometimes it's thin and sometimes it's very thick. Sore throat, there is itching, there can be tangling kind of conditions in our throat. Soreness can be there, so that can lead to pain. Hoarseness, hoarseness means the pitch of the volume get changed. Cough, followed by headache and even body tiredness. Sometimes it is also occurring with the fever. It is lasting for 3 to 7 days. Let's study the different stages which are there in life cycle of the common cold. As you can see, stage 1, it is taking place from day 1 to 3 and the symptoms are very normal, that is itching throat. So it can be called as tingling and scratchy throat. Second is achy body. The body starts paining and even there is a tiredness. Contagious means yes, it is infectious, it is communicable from one person to another. Stage number 2 lasts from days 4 to 7 and the symptoms they increase. Chills, low grade fever starts, followed by cough, congestion and runny nose. It is contagious, it is infectious. And stage number 3, that is days 8 to 10, symptoms are cough, fatigue and congestion. Only if active symptoms are still present, then it is contagious. So all the precautions we have to follow, like in COVID-19, we have to keep our public and personal hygiene. We have to keep washing our hands and even use tissue paper while sneezing or coughing and throw it in the bin. Now, those droplets, they can stay for many days on pens, books and other materials wherever you are working, and it can cause infection in a healthy person. Now let's start with the very important common disease, that is malaria. So this is caused by protozoan. Name of the protozoan is Plasmodium. As in lower classes also, you have studied binary fission and multiple fission. So the most common example that is given by the teachers in multiple fission is the Plasmodium. It divides by multiple fission. Means from one single Plasmodium, there is a capacity that so many different Plasmodiums can be produced at a single time. So there are not only single species of Plasmodium, there are 3 different species: Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium malaria and Plasmodium falciparum. All these are responsible for malaria, but all malarias are not same. They are of different types. Different types means their intensity. Some of them are of low intensity and some are of high intensity. Here low and high determines the severeness, how critical the condition will be. If the malaria goes in blood, if all the infection, it goes into blood and it keeps on circulating to each and every organ, that means other organs will also get infected. That is called as malignant malaria. So it is caused by Plasmodium falciparum and it is most critical and dangerous, and even it can be fatal. Now, before talking about the life cycle theoretically, let's talk about the figure 8.1 that is given in your book. In this figure, you can see a mosquito is biting a human hand. During that, we have only talked that protozoan Plasmodium is infecting. So why we are talking about mosquito here? Mosquito act as a vector or a carrier that is carrying that Plasmodium protozoan inside it. Whenever it comes and infects a human being, those protozoans, with the help of that sting, they comes into the human body. So if question comes in board exams, what are the means of transport of Plasmodium by mosquito in the human body? So answer will be sporozoites. As we have studied that amoeba produce spores or different rhizopods, they are producing spore formation. Similarly, Plasmodium, they survive in unfavorable conditions in the sporozoites form. Can you see sporozoites on the hands? Yes. So these are sickle shaped or S shaped sporozoites which are being injected with the mosquito. When they are entering into human body, they will first go to our liver cells. They will infect and reach the liver through blood. They will not infect blood, but first of all they will infect liver. After complete infection of the liver cells, they will again move to the blood. So how they will move to blood? Liver cells will burst and they will release those sporozoites into the blood. Now RBCs. If we say blood consists of plasma, and plasma has three kinds of cells: red blood cells, white blood cells and platelets. Red blood cells are anucleated and they have a very shorter lifespan. So here these sporozoites, they will enter into RBCs. They will reproduce here asexually. Here I am going to repeat, multiple fission takes place. That's why single sporozoite can give rise to millions of sporozoites in the red blood cells. When those red blood cells burst, they lead to a fever. The major symptom in this malaria is chilling. So that chilling takes place when these RBCs, they burst, and those sporozoites which are produced, they are released and they are ready to infect new red blood cells. Here two kind of gametocytes are produced, male and female, and now they are ready to enter from the infected patient into a mosquito. So whensoever a mosquito will come and bite an infected malarial patient, those sporozoites in the form of gametocytes, they will enter into the mosquito body, and those female mosquitoes. Why here more concern is given on female mosquitoes? Because male mosquitoes generally feed on fruit saps. They are not biting humans. If they bite, they are not the causative agents. They are not acting as a carrier of a disease. So here female Anopheles mosquito, they take up the gametocytes when they take the blood from the human body. Now here the question comes, why blood is taken by these mosquitoes? They need the nutrition for the egg formation. They are laying eggs, so for that nutrition is required. So they intake the blood from any host organism. So during this case, those gametocytes, they will enter into mosquito's gut, fertilization takes place, and they are entering into the salivary glands of the mosquito. Here you can see in this picture, in the salivary glands, sporozoites, they are ready to infect any human being. So in brief, there are two hosts of Plasmodium. One is human, where asexual reproduction takes place, and number second is Anopheles female mosquito where sexual reproduction takes place. So this cycle goes on. An infected patient is acting as a carrier where the mosquito bites and then again the cycle continues. So let's look from here. Malaria transmission cycle. First infected person. In that person, liver cells will get infected. Then red blood cells get infected. When red blood cells are fully infected, second mosquito will come. That will take up those gametocytes. It will infect second infected person. So this cycle will goes on. Let's read out the symptoms of malaria. Symptoms are headache, fever, fatigue, pain, back pain, chills. So underline this chills. Chilling is a very important feature. It is caused by when RBCs they rupture, they release one toxin called as hemozoin, which is responsible for chilling and high fever that can reoccur. So as we have studied in typhoid, sustained fever, this is not a sustained fever. It can reoccur every 3 to 4 days. Means few days the patient will feel fine and then again fever can start. Next symptom is dry cough. Then spleen enlargement. This we have seen earlier also. So spleen enlargement means whenever there is any infection in the body, lymphoid organs, they enlarge in size. Now the reason behind is because whenever there is an infection in the body, our body starts fighting because our white blood cells, our lymphocytes, they are produced in more number. So they get enlarged. Last is stomach infection that can lead to nausea. Nausea is just a feeling of vomiting, and vomiting can also take place. So let's read from here. Number 5th common disease is amoebiasis, also known as amoebic dysentery. So there are problems in like diarrhea problems can take place. That's why dysentery term is given. The causative agent is Entamoeba histolytica. Most of the characteristics are similar to amoeba. So it infects large intestine. Symptoms can be constipation. There can be problem in passing out stools of the body. Then there can be pain in abdomen. Abdomen is the very lower part of stomach. Cramps. Cramps is fatigueness. And then is stools with excess mucus and blood clot. So sometimes blood can also come with the fecal matter. Who is the carrier? House flies. That's why it is always preferred to keep our food covered, because these house flies, they are roaming everywhere and they can take up these Entamoeba histolytica from the fecal matter of an infected person and they can serve as a carrier. To see it in brief, here you can see they have shown large intestine infection, and these are the major symptoms which we have studied. Then, so thereby contaminating drinking water and food contaminated by fecal matter are the main source of infection. Now, 6th common disease is ascariasis. It is caused by causative agent Ascaris, that is a roundworm. So it is coming under Ascalminthis or Helminthis category. Symptoms can be internal bleeding, muscular pain, fever, anemia. Anemia is loss of blood, and last is blockage of intestinal passage. So this is leading to a lot of problems. So you can see whenever these infected persons, they are passing their stools, fecal matters, they are the result of infection. So can you see fecal matter? So there can be two conditions. Sometimes those fecal matter contains fertilized egg, and few times they are secreting unfertilized egg. So obviously when the eggs are not fertilized, they will not lead to Ascaris, so they will not undergo any development. But when they release fertilized eggs in the soil, they will divide, and if we intake contaminated food and contaminated water that have some contact with these fecal matter, obviously they will enter in the human body and they will cause intestinal infection that is very severe. So this was about Ascaris. The eggs of these parasites are excreted along with the feces of infected persons. So with soil, water and plants. So we have to keep in mind that whenever we are bringing fruits, vegetables from market, we have to clean them properly. Now let's come to number 7 disease, that is called as elephantiasis and filariasis. So in this figure 8.2 also you can see that lower limbs of the body, they get so much inflated that the body parts, they are increasing in size. So lymphatic vessels are infected. So this is the diagram of Wuchereria that is causing this disease called as elephantiasis. So Wuchereria bancrofti and Wuchereria malai, these are two different filarial worms which can lead to this chronic inflammation. There are two kind of diseases, acute and chronic. Acute means which stay for a short period of time, and chronic means which stay for a longer time. So they live for many years, that's why it is used as chronic. So which parts are infected? Lymphatic vessels of lower limbs, and this genital organs are also affected, resulting in gross deformities. Gross means big. There are so many different problems which takes place. So the carrier is female mosquito. So these are the carriers which are bringing infection from one person to another. Now let's start with the number 8 common disease, that is called as ringworms. So as figure 8.3 is showing ringworm affected area of the skin. So this is a skin related disease. It is caused by a fungus, Microsporum, Trichophyton and Epidermophyton. You have to learn 3 names of these fungus which are responsible for this common skin infection. Symptoms are appearance of dry, scaly lesions. This white colored portion which is seen on the face of the person. So these are scaly lesions by which skin gets infected and easily the skin is getting removed. Then on various parts it can grow on skin, nails and scalp. Scalp is the head part of the human body. Then these lesions, they can also accompanied with intense itching. Heat and moisture help these fungus to grow at a higher rate. As we have studied, moisture helps in the spore formation of the fungus. So similarly here also it is taking place. Then in between the toes, so it can grow. So it can pass on from one person to another by using same towel, same clothes or comb. So we have studied total 8 diseases now. First was typhoid caused by bacteria. Number 2, pneumonia caused by bacteria. Number 3, common cold caused by virus. Number 4, malaria caused by a protozoan. Then number 5, amoebiasis caused by ant amoeba, that is also a protozoan. Then number 6, ascariasis, and number 7, elephantiasis. These are caused by roundworms. And number 8, that is ringworms caused by a fungus. Now how to prevent ourselves from these common diseases? First, we have to maintain good personal and public hygiene. So there should be facilities of clean drinking water, food, vegetables and fruits, and even we have to take bath daily. Public hygiene, so proper disposal of waste must be there, bins must be arranged properly, and even water reservoirs should have some disinfective agents that can clean it. The pools, stagnant water should not be there around because it can be a breeding ground for mosquitoes around us, which can lead to different diseases around us that can be airborne, waterborne and foodborne diseases. To eliminate the mosquitoes that are in stagnant water or in the ponds, there is a good way to do this. There is one species of fishes called as gambusia. So here you can see in the picture, these are called as mosquito fish because they are eating the larvae of the mosquito so fastly. As the larvae hatch from the eggs, as many as 100 per day. So these Gambusia fishes, they are playing an important role in keeping the water coolers clean. Then we can also use wire mesh to prevent the entry of mosquitoes. So Aedes mosquito, that is responsible for dengue and chikungunya. So these are vector-borne diseases. So we have to eliminate them. After this, we have to use vaccination and immunization programs so that some diseases where vaccines are available, we can protect ourselves from those infectious diseases. So there are polio, diphtheria, pneumonia and tetanus whose vaccines are available. So biotechnology is working at a greater scale so that these vaccines must be available to each and everyone. And antibiotics and various other drugs are also used to treat these infectious diseases. So antibiotics, they kills bacteria and work during the time of the disease. So whenever we are ill, so during bacterial infection, these antibiotics, they work at a higher rate. But vaccines, they kills the virus. They can be taken once and has permanent effect, and they are providing a preventive method. Vaccines are not given during a disease, but they are provided before a disease so that we can prevent ourselves from such critical diseases. Thank you so much.